actual size of things. Let's watch this video. Wait, the actual size of things. Is this the
Forget.
video? All right, let me see what this video is all about.
Everything you ever thought you knew about our...
Hold on, relax. Relax.
Forget everything you ever thought you knew about our world.
Okay.
Planet Earth? Yeah, it's tiny. And our countries?
Everyone already
The
knows
maps
that.
have been lying to us. It's all totally disproportionate. Some animals are secretly enormous, while once famous cruise ships now just seem like rubber toys in a bathtub.
Yeah,
Get ready to
we just went
have
over
your
that.
mind blown, because there are so many things that are completely different to what our minds have come to accept. There's around 7.8 billion people in the world.
7.8 billion,
If you,
okay, that
me,
is
and
true.
every one
That's
of those
true.
others had 19,000 kids, then we'd still have enough room for everyone on this big planet. Crazy, right? Earth is the biggest thing that we experience, and it would take us a whopping 45 hours to fly around its circumference. Well, actually, compared to that giant ball of gas in the sky, yeah, the sun, our planet is just a speck of dust.
Yes.
The sun is
Very
bigger than we
apparent.
could
I think
ever
everybody
imagine.
knows this.
It's 864,400 miles across.
Yep.
On a 2D image, you can fit 109 Earths from one end to the other. But in 3D mode, a whopping 1,300,000 planet Earths can fit inside our sun. Still, that's quite hard to fathom, so let's paint a picture. A football field is about 360 feet.
Okay,
If
360
we
feet.
stacked them end to
Keep it
end
up.
over 116,000 times,
360
you have
times
the Earth's diameter.
116,000 times.
Then
Okay.
do that 109 more
Then you
times,
times that
and
by
you've got our
109.
glorious sun.
Then you have
Not
the sun.
only
Okay,
is it
that's big.
unfathomably large, but it's also heavy. Like 333,000 times the Earth kind of heavy. But why do we look at the sun and think that it's so small? Well, we feel its warmth and we see it rise and set in the sky, so we assume it's within close
I don't
range.
think anyone thinks the sun
That's
is small.
just not true. In reality, it would take 19 years to fly there. If we look at the bigger picture, though, even the sun can be considered tiny. The Milky Way is 890 billion times the mass of the sun.
That's
As
it?
you can see, our minds sometimes play tricks on us and make things appear closer than they really are. Turns
I
out
think
it's
that's
not
kinda
just
small, to
our
be honest.
minds that had us fooled. The classic map of the world has fooled us too. Russia is huge, so is China. And the USA is pretty big too. Algeria seems kind of small, and Japan is tiny in comparison. But
What about
we've
Canada?
been looking at it all wrong. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a 2D map. How could a 2D map possibly convey a 3D world? The answer, it can't. Unless you're a flat earther, like Kyrie Irving or B.O.B., it's
Kylie
all
Irving?
inaccurate.
Really?
Japan's
I didn't
not
know
so
that.
tiny
He's a
after
flat
all.
earther.
If it were hanging out next to
By
Greenland...
the way, hold on real sec. We're watching the actual size of things, by the way. I have watched some... Okay, so I refuse to be a sheep and just believe whatever I'm told. I really do believe in, like, researching things. And I've listened to an argument between scientists and flat earthers. And if you listen to an actual like professional flat earther like debate, it's actually not as one-sided as you would think. It kind of makes sense like their side. If like not looking at like the absolute like redneck idiots that you like that comes to mind whenever you hear that like this kind of thing. Like an actual like smart person debates it, it's actually not as one-sided as you would imagine.
They'd be the same height. See Algeria? Believe it or not, it's bigger than Alaska. Australia is the same width as the USA. And if we took the little old island of Madagascar and placed it on the American East Coast, are you ready for this? It'd cover all of Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Vermont,
I'm sorry,
Delaware,
but
Virginia,
I wasn't paying
and the
attention.
USA. And if we took the little old island of Madagascar and placed
so
it on the
Madagascar.
American East Coast, are you ready for this? It'd cover all of
did not know
Pennsylvania,
that.
New York, New Jersey,
Madagascar looked
Vermont,
really small on the
Delaware,
map.
Virginia, and North Carolina combined. In the land down under, it's not just the geography that's out of whack. Local wildlife have their own story to tell. We all know the giant emus and powerful kangaroos. Those marsupials can get pretty big and pretty darn buff. Just take a look at Roger the Ripped Kangaroo.
Dude, whenever I see pictures like this of like kangaroos, I don't know if you guys have seen that video of like that one guy who just like straight up like punched a kangaroo in the jaw, and the kangaroo just sat there like bouncing on its tail. Just like, I would have loved to see it punch back and just
But
fight
there's
the guy.
another animal native to Australia that's way bigger than most people realize. This, folks, is a wombat.
What is that?
Cute
A
and
wombat?
small, right? Wrong.
No, that thing's
Take a peek at
huge.
it next to this human, and then
Yeah, I
pick your
knew
jaw
that.
up from the floor. These furry creatures can weigh up to 90
Where
pounds.
do
That's
those things
41
spawn?
kilograms. The equivalent of the average 13-year-old human. It would take 2 fully grown border collies to even the scales. Or 10 average house
Those things
cats.
are humongous.
Give this video a like if this surprised you, or comment if this is the first time you've ever seen a wombat. That's
Those
actually
things are
why
really
we
cute.
expect these animals to be smaller than they are, because we rarely see them. Compared to the more famous
Yeah, I was gonna
koalas
say, where
and
do those things
kangaroos, they're
spawn? I
seldom
know
found in
what they look
international
like.
zoos.
I know
Still
how big
cute
they
though,
are.
right? Our next guest, on the other hand, doesn't quite fall into the cute category. What about the huge category? Oh, you bet it does. This is the Quetzalcoatlus northropi, also known
What?
as one of the biggest flying animals of all time. It weighed between 440 and 550 pounds, or 200 to 250 kilograms, and boasted an intimidating wingspan
Wait, is
of
this
up to
a dinosaur?
45 feet. That's 4 times bigger than the largest bird that exists today, the royal albatross. When not gliding through the
Why are we
air,
talking about
Quetzalcoatlus
dinosaurs?
stood at over 16 feet, or 5 meters. That's almost 4 pelicans stacked head to toe, and the only animal that even comes close is a giraffe. Now that we think about it, it kind of looks like a weird combination of the two, doesn't it? Next to a human, it's all kinds of intimidating if you ask
Whoa, I
us.
didn't think it was that big.
Paleontologist Mark Witton seems to think that these winged beasts could have flown 10,000 miles non-stop. That's like going from New York to Sydney, hitting max speeds of 80 miles an hour along the way. Of course, this colossal flyer went extinct 66 million years ago, so don't expect to see it anytime soon.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why are we
While
talking
not
about
nearly as old
dinosaurs?
as that, our next fascinating subject has been around for quite a long time too, and it's actually a world wonder. Sure, Machu Picchu and the Great Wall of China are old, but technically they're only wonders of the New World. We're talking, of course, about the Great Pyramid of Giza, the only wonder of the ancient world that is still standing. There are about 80 pyramids known today from ancient Egypt. The most famous, of course, is the Great Pyramid, dating back to around 2560 BC,
Those things are
at a
huge.
neck-straining 456 feet tall. That's 139 meters. You would need 76 Bradley Coopers standing on each other's heads. Don't believe us? Check out this photo of a tourist chilling at the bottom. It's bigger than both Big Ben and the Statue of Liberty.
Oh,
but
wow.
of course, most of us haven't seen it for ourselves. And since it's important for visitors to capture the whole pyramid to show off to their friends, the majority of
I actually don't know how pyramids work. So is the person that's buried in there, is he in the middle? And I think there might be like a woman that's also buried in one of these. I don't know for sure. Are they buried in the middle or like at the bottom, like at the bottom middle? I don't know how it works.
are from a considerable distance. Making an appearance next, the wondrous, ill-fated RMS Titanic. For all those who didn't shed a tear while watching James Cameron's film, the Titanic was the largest ship ever to set sail when it made its maiden voyage in 1912, until it hit an iceberg and sank. Before falling to the bottom of the ocean, the luxury cruise liner measured 882 feet, that's 269 meters in length, and could hold 3,547 people. That's insane. Especially for over a century ago. It was so impressive and tragic that many of us would assume that no ship of its size was ever built again. But oh, those...
I'm curious. I heard that the Titanic, was it the first time the Titanic set sail that it crashed, or did the Titanic do many tours? I think it might have been the first time it set out, it instantly crashed into an iceberg, and that's what was so ironic about it.
Those people would be so
I don't
wrong.
know.
Next to Royal Caribbean's new Symphony of the Seas cruise ship,
Oh
the
my-
Titanic looks like a teeny tiny tugboat. Symphony is also twice as high
Look at
and
that
twice as
thing.
wide as the Titanic, and capable of fitting 8,461 people.
Dude, that
so
thing's
whether
a
you see the
hotel.
Titanic
That's more
as
than a
small
hotel.
or the Symphony of the Sea as gigantic, it's dramatic either way. It doesn't just have to be world wonders or ships that baffle us. Sometimes the size of everyday objects can be misleading too.
That's
Take, for
crazy.
example, the humble yet necessary road sign. Who here has ever looked up at one of those green signs when driving and thought, how did that get there in the first place? It turns out they're made in giant factories, and when we say giant, we mean it. You see, they look small to us on the road because we're usually hurling past them at light
Oh, I
speed,
never thought
and
about
they're
this.
deliberately made to be seen from a distance. In reality, when we catch them up close, they are frickin' huge. You see what we're talking about? A sign on a freeway that spans 2 or more lanes can easily be larger than 25 feet. Even the one-lane
Wow.
signs are wider than most cars. Oh, curious as to why they're always green? Traditionally, green is more visible and less distracting to motorists at nighttime. From concrete jungles to actual ones, let's take a look at the real king of the jungle, the gorilla.
gorilla?
We know that these animals are large compared to chimpanzees,
Ooh!
orangutans, and those bright large compared.
Look at its fingers. Ooh. Look at them. They're like little sausage links. Ooh. They're like all disproportionate and puffy and. Ooh.
To chimpanzees, orangutans, and those bright-butted baboons. But the gorilla's actual size might just shock some of you. Especially the eastern lowland gorilla, the largest of the 4
Dude,
subspecies.
I've seen these.
They weigh
in
twice as much
the
as the
zoo.
average human, and are taller than Jon Snow himself, Kit Harington, when standing on their rear legs. And check out those massive hands. So why are they so much bigger than we realize? Well, first off, be honest. How often have you been face to face with a gorilla?
I have.
Exactly. Plus, even if you've
Those
ever
things
seen
are
one in a
huge.
zoo or even in the wild, they would have either been hanging out on their backside, hunched over, or walking around on all fours.
That's true.
Swimming along next is the menacing, potentially misunderstood anglerfish. Made famous by luring in Marlin and Dory with her glowing dorsal fin in Finding Nemo, the anglerfish hangs out in the dark depths of the oceans. For precisely that reason, humans seldom see them face to face. And if they're
That's true. I've
photographed
never
by
seen
divers, the fish is usually all alone. So we can't compare it
That's
to anything
true.
we know.
Are these things
Therefore,
huge?
you, I, and everybody else remains entirely clueless to the fact that these guys are way bigger than we think.
Oh, no.
So how big are we talking? Up to 3.3 feet in length and weighing up to 70 pounds.
What?
That's half the length of the bed you sleep on and almost as heavy as the wombat we saw earlier. Want to find out what's hiding deep in the mysterious depths of the Marianas Trench? Check out our video, linked in the description.
That's terrifying.
Over to Europe now,
Oh
where
my
some
God,
pieces of
terrifying.
art, no matter their
Wait,
size,
that's 3.5 feet. I'm trying to picture this in my head. That is disgusting. That thing is gross looking. I thought it was like only like this big. But it turns out it's actually like a lot bigger than that. You can't even see it on my screen.
have larger-than-life reputations. On one end of the spectrum, the Mona Lisa is underwhelmingly small, surrounded by gawking, photo-happy tourists. On the other hand, one infamous unclad statue is impressively large. No, not in that way. Yep, Michelangelo's David. In the Galleria dell'Accademia in Florence, Italy, our 5-century-old David stands at 17 feet high. As you can see, this makes us regular-sized humans feel pretty darn
That
small.
guy is
If you're like
huge.
us and didn't realize how enormous this statue really was, give the video a quick like. But why are we all surprised? It comes down to the photos we look at. Tourist photos, mainly. In order to get the entire piece of art in the frame, tourists need to step back. And from further away, voila! He and it appear smaller. Which of these things surprised you the most? Let us know. Then check out one of
What surprised me
our
the most about this video? What surprised me most about this particular video was probably the fact that he included a dinosaur. That really surprised me. Why would you do that? That is kind of dumb. And then what really surprised, probably the main thing that surprised me was the fish, the angler fish. Like, whenever I've seen pictures of that, it's true. You usually only do see it by itself. and like you think it's like this big, like maybe the bigger ones could be like over here in this direction, but it turns out they're actually like, you know, like you can't even see it, like really big, like probably from there to. So what's like, okay, so what's like a 6 foot person? So I'm 5'10". So like from like, can you see this from here? That's huge. That is humongous. That is humongous. That thing is huge. Wait, okay, so I'm almost 6 foot, so I can do like halfway. Probably like here. That is huge. That's scary to think about. That thing's going down, crawling around in the depths. Ooh, with this little ugly looking. You know what I mean? It would eat your legs in one bite? Yeah. That thing is terrifying. Ugly looking too. I wonder, why don't they go to the top? Does anyone know why that is? Why don't they just swim up to the top? Is there a reason why they're at the bottom? Because if they're, okay, so the pressure's like really crazy down in the depths. Like I'm thinking it's kind of like, you know how in Dragon Ball Z, like Goku and Vegeta would train by get like 100 times Earth gravity or 500 times Earth gravity? Isn't it kind of like that? Like, what if they were to go to the top? Would they be like Goku and Vegeta and like fly around at like the speed of sound? Wouldn't that be crazy? I don't know how it works, but whatever.